Meeting to order. Have we read and, motion on the minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
All in,
1/28, 2025.
second.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Public comment? No, okay. Revenue update.
You guys should have two sheets that I just put in front of you, one for sales tax or non-property tax revenue, and the other is the property tax collections, basically year-to-date. Non-property tax revenue is averaging about 4.04% higher than it was at the same period last year. We have collected year-to-date $976,000 more in non-property tax recurring revenue than we had at the same time last year. So those collections are going well. Property tax collections are in line with the same period last year. We've collected about $340,000 more at the same approximate time last year, and there's about $2.7 million left in property tax to collect. And so that's basically a revenue update.
Cool. Great news.
Yes, sir.
Any questions, comments? Budget amendments, number one.
First budget amendment is to recognize some insurance recovery funds from a totaled JPD vehicle.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next.
Second budget amendment is to recognize $39,804 in opioid abatement grant funds from Madison County. This is the national opioid settlement that's administered through the county. I think their budget plan is included sort of on your thing there. It's mostly education and some public outreach type things.
Mayor, you have any comments on that?
No, I mean, the county, they've gotten, I don't know how much money they've gotten in, so this is part of their committee and the recommendation there, and so this is for us to get the revenue for that from their nearly $1 million, I guess.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Who's actually gonna be using it? Is it JPD or is it a different group?
JPD.
And the list is on the back.
Now that budget shows $60,000. They're going to adjust their budget to conform to the amount of money they got. They didn't get their full request, and I'm sure you guys probably watched or at least read about the county's method of assigning those funds. And so
Do we know what they're cutting?
I do not, and that was one of those things that we talked about, because the contract with that should include an attachment that will outline those, but I'm not sure exactly where they're cutting.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Tyler Munis.
We are training beginning this week for the Tyler Munis budgeting module. Finance and Administration is doing their training this week, and department heads and department financial personnel will begin training on the budget module between March 3rd and March 6th. And I know that everybody's excited about that, because when we sent out the sign-up forms, the slots filled up for the department heads and the financial folks rapidly. And I'm being a little sarcastic. They did fill up rapidly, but I haven't talked to anybody that's terribly excited about it. The mayor's excited. Look at him. See how happy he is?
I'm ready to get this thing going.
Yeah, we're excited about that. We are meeting this afternoon with the finance and purchasing teams to go over the last bits of refresher training for the requisition and purchasing modules. Those are things that we would like to implement. And Jack, for your benefit, right now we have a very manual purchase order system.
Sure.
When we get it into the ERP, it'll create more controls for us. It's one of those things that they've been working on for a while, but we're actually going to do a refresh. department heads and financial personnel in these different departments have already been trained on this. I don't know how many months ago, but they didn't implement it at the time. And so we're going to do a refresher training with them. At the same time, we're going to do some refresher training on how they can monitor their own budgets and dig into some of the financial data that they've got from their side of the login. So we're meeting this afternoon to do that, and that's basically my Tyler Munis update.
Good.
Okay.
So, at one point, August was when we'll be fully implementing this?
We are hopefully going to be able to begin collecting property tax in October. And so I'm hoping that all the units and pieces of the original Tyler Munis package, which is not to say that we haven't added some things. We're going to add a ticketing system and some other things. But I think all of the original components will be implemented or able to be implemented by August. Now, the first time that we'll begin using property tax, of course, will be in October. But, you know, we've got to schedule sometime to, let me think. I've got a meeting, property tax status call sometime either today or tomorrow, and I can't, they moved it on me. But they think that the imports from the CAMA files that we produce as well as the CAMA files that the state produces, we can do both of those. The only holdover is on some of the property tax relief and some of the pilot and TIF billing. And they think they've got that figured out. There are so few of those that I said, if we have to do that manually, why can't we just do that, as opposed to having to import a file and hold this process up? But I think they're actually going to get it so that we can do an automatic import of those as well. So, you know, I think all of the modules hopefully will be ready by August. I think we'll begin using property tax, and so all the original modules we'll be able to be using by August or October at the very latest.
Cool.
So
Be a nice thing.
it will.
Much needed.
Purchasing cards.
The purchasing cards actually have been looked at by HR, the policies, because there are some HR implications with some of those things. Our legal folks have looked at them, and they're also the policies being reviewed by our friends at First Horizon to make sure that we didn't say that it would do something that it actually won't do as part of that process. And so as soon as they get that done, we're going to start again with our demo group, we think. So, and I'm excited about that, because, I mean, this morning, right before I left the office, Chief Turner came in and he said, I need a credit card. And I said, you always need a credit card. You know, and so it'll be nice to be able to have those resources out for these different departments to use. It'll also make it much easier to track some of those expenses, because a lot of the burden of providing documentation and justification will be shifted from somebody in our office to a financial person or a department head in that. Who obviously they know more about what they're spending than what the particular need is than we do. And so that'll be a big help.
Cool. I know we use them, and they're a huge help.
Yeah. And you sent us some documentation that was helpful too. Thank you.
And an update on the bond.
We are still working with bond counsel to narrow down the items that will actually be included in that bond. We have a list of capital projects. And so the formula is going to be what is best to include in the bond and what is best to fund out of fund balance. It's more semantics than anything else as far as what we're going to do, but they're still working on that. We've got ratings calls tentatively scheduled for March 5th and 6th, and we'll provide an update to the council when we get closer to a point where we can talk about the actual structure. So,
Cool. Any questions or comments from Nathan? Want to welcome Jack to our budget committee.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Glad
Glad to be here.
Glad you're here. Mhm.
Glad to be here.
Straighten us out.
I don't know about that, but we'll see.
Anything
Where I
else?
can.
Anything else for the budget committee? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Oh. Well, I nearly made it to where you could have been on time.